Hi, friends. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Sisters podcast. It's Gabrielle Celeste. Welcome, welcome. Happy eclipse on day of drop. Surprise. We have a very special episode with you with one of my favorite people. Welcome, welcome to the show, Karla. Huizar. I'm so excited to get into the episode with you today. And we've known each other for some time now. So welcome to the show. It's like a full circle moment for you to be here in my eyes.
It really is. And thank you so much for having me here. I'm actually really excited to do this.
Yeah. So background on this story, you guys, we tried recording last week and this Mercury retrograde that's happening during eclipse season has not been fun. And Karla, she's going to share her big three with us right now. But we have a lot of Pisces in our chart and we vibe on different levels astrologically, probably past lives. We've worked together over the last few years. So we're just going to get right into it and just pray to the tech gods that this message, this show, it reaches the people that it needs to, and it's not going to give us any issues because it's coming out pretty soon thereafter as we record. So Karla, my dear, would you be so kind as to share your big three in astrology?
I am a Pisces sun, a Scorpio moon, and a Cancer rising.
Is she a triple water sign?
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
And you are. You do it so well, too. Because you have the variety of all of the different, like the waters, but all of the different modalities, fixed, cardinal, and mutable.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I sure do.
She understands the water energy well. So what would be your cosmic makeup in human design?
I am a manifester, a 3-5 manifester.
Yeah. I feel
Did I
like...
say that correctly?
Yeah. We get a lot of 3-5s on the show, and I'm like, I wonder if like 4-6-3-5 energy, because I have a lot of girlfriends that are also 3-5s, and the 3-5s are like having to do, life on their own terms, like having to just experiment and trial by error, but they get so much experience as a result.
Yeah, right. I know. I always say like, running so you can walk to those around me.
Yeah.
Like, learn from my mistakes.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so what media, podcast, books are you consuming right now?
Let's see, podcast. I listen to the Spiritual Sisters podcast religiously. Like, that's my every Tuesday podcast. I do listen to Nikki Novo, of course, and Friends That Invest. Friends That Invest is another episode that I like, another podcast that I like listening to.
So since we kind of had we didn't get too far last week, but you had shared that podcast, Friends That Invest. You guys, so good. Highly recommend. So thank you for sharing that.
Learning especially as like a first gen woman, like, I need to learn all of this. Children and all that, set my kids up for generational wealth.
Yeah, exactly.
Important, super important.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a different type of energy when females are financially and fiscally responsible, and you see more of that, not just on a generational level, but in the world that we live in, which we're not necessarily getting into, but in terms of the topics that we're talking about today after these rapid fire questions, I feel like you have such a really solid just grasp on the state of the world and the work that you do and how you bridge your psychicness, your spirituality to being of service is very on point and it's very in touch. And I can't wait to talk about that. But before we get there, I'm actually going to switch it up as a result of the topics that we're discussing. So if you could go to a concert for any artist living or deceased, who would it be and why?
My inner child would love to see Selena. And I think adult me would love to see Lana Del Rey.
Oh my God. Lana.
That bruja.
She is.
We love her.
She is.
She really is.
She is. And you know what? She's a Leo moon Scorpio rising. She's Scorpio rising. Cancer sun.
She's a Cancer, yeah.
Yeah, so she got double water.
I knew. I love her.
Lana. I love Lana too. She's in Camarillo often.
And she was in Santa Barbara a few months ago. I
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw on social media
Mm-mm.
at one of the breweries.
She
She
Oh
I guess
yeah,
there was
yeah,
a
yeah.
live band.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a live band, and I guess she like jumped in and started singing. I was like,
Mm.
damn it, of course I had to be out of town that weekend.
I know, right? Come back. Come back, Lana. We'll tag you in one
I
of these
know.
reels.
She
She
will. I
she seems like
know.
she's online. She'll see it.
Yeah, hang out with us.
Yes. Okay. So the next question, and I feel like that's a nice little bridge in terms of like talking about what it is that you do for work and how it relates to your spirituality. And so I will put a trigger warning in the show notes. But if you had the capacity to work with anyone living or deceased in the realm of, what you do for a living and to be of service, who would it be and why?
Um, let's see. Gosh, okay. So my initial answer was like just like kids generally.
Mm-hmm.
I think recently because of like all the Epstein file stuff that's been like coming out,
Mm-hmm.
um, and the Diddy parties and all of that crazy stuff. Um, I would really love to chat with like, and still, I guess I'm still talking about children, right? But any of those like celebrities who experienced, this type of trauma early on in the industry. So as children, and we've seen a few of those celebrities come forth recently where they're speaking about what they experienced. But I'm thinking of, and I'm honestly blanking on his name right now. But he was a Disney actor. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember his name, but he's been speaking out
Yeah.
about a lot of things that he experienced, and I just want to hug all those Disney babies who are adults now. And
Was he on That's a Raven?
yes,
Okay, I know exactly who you're talking about. He's African American?
yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What's his name?
Um, I don't remember, but I know his face. So if I'll
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
Google it.
actually super horrible with celebrities and their names. So
Yeah, definitely. I can really I feel like I pick up on faces more than I do names, but I know exactly who you're
mhm.
talking about. Kyle Massey. Kyle Massey?
Is that? I don't know.
I think
Let me
it's
see. I
Kyle
have no
Massey.
idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, okay, so side note, before we get into what you talk about, I remember seeing Raven Simone at the Ventura County Fair like 16 years ago, and they worked together on That's So
Mhm.
Raven. So
Yeah.
flashback.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so trigger warning on and on the topic today,
Mhm.
which I'm gonna just let you get into it because you're the expert in this field. And for me, I really appreciate you being the intuitive that you are and the work that you do for a living and how basically you're a light worker in a traditional 9 to 5 setting. And so I would love for you to talk about what it is you do for work, how you got into it, how, your spiritual gifts allow you to just really show up in the area of work that you do and so forth.
Yeah. So I work in the sexual assault field. So I actually work for the essentially the local rape crisis center. And I've been in this I've been at my agency for it will actually be 10 years this August.
Mhm.
Been there for quite a while. And I initially was in school for like criminal justice because I thought that that's what I wanted to do. I did at the time I was in doing an internship at the housing authority of the city of Santa Barbara, and I was working with families, low income families, and specifically with the kids. So I ran an after school learning center and some teen programs. So I was working with children ages 5 to like college, helping them navigate through the systems. And I started getting a lot of disclosures. So, with case management, with families, I was offering resources and trying to figure out like how is it that we can provide an education to these families, because the amount of disclosures that were sexual assault related that I was getting was overwhelming. And my supervisor at the time was actually on the board of my agency now, and he was like, "Hey, there's an opening, FYI, if you're interested." So anyway, I applied and have been there since. And I always say, like, I think I came into, or I always said that I felt like I kind of just fell in there because it just worked out. But I really think I was meant to be like working in this field specifically.
Totally. And also, like, having studied astrology with you, and knowing your chart, it's almost like when you see that and you marry that modality to what it is that you're doing in real life, it's kind of hard to dispute, like, that's how you fell into it, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, 10 years
Yeah.
later, here I am. Um, and I've navigated through different departments of the agency. But a lot of my time in the agency was providing direct client services. So I was working directly with survivors of sexual assault, significant others, and navigating through various stages of medical and legal processes. So offering counseling, case management, and so on. So I worked very closely and could, as you can imagine, heard a lot of stories. And that was, I think, a big part of my like spiritual awakening. Because man, I went through it. I went through
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely that's tough. I'm sure that what you see is quite heavy. When did you realize that, I guess, there was one, spiritual, but also two, that your spirituality was playing a role and wanted to be more applicable to what it is that you're doing in your day-to-day life? Like, how does your intuition show up in what you do for work, and how does it show up on a practical level?
Mm. You know, I always thought that I was gonna have this like moment where it's like, here's
Mhm.
your awakening. And it's really not like that at all. um, gosh, first and foremost, I feel like I was like slapped in the face with like, girl, work on your shadow work, right? Like you need to work on that first. But really like, and I guess with working on my shadows, my wounds, I've picked up tools that have helped me like navigate. So now grounding is huge for me. Triple water sign. So
Mhm.
I absolutely need to ground, which allows me to be present, and it allows me to hold space for others. I at first would kind of do my spiritual stuff, at home, or kind of keep it to myself. And then I realized, like, no, like this is meant to mesh. Like it's meant to mesh, and I can't separate it. So it's also helped me with navigating like stress, burnout. As you can imagine, the crazy stories that I hear that are happening in my own community were just really hard to hear, and hold. But yeah, I think it's been more of like it's kind of work together.
Yeah, definitely. I know you mentioned there wasn't like this big moment, and I feel like that's actually so common for most. But was there any type of experience, or just maybe being in the field in general for as long as you've been, where you realized your spirituality was meant to be used in service? Like, was there a moment along the way, or did you just realize, like, oh, this is innately spiritual, and this is why I'm here being the earth angel that I am? Which I totally see you as, by
Mm-hmm.
the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I working with clients. There were, and I've heard this many times. It could also be, the manifester in uh, my human design. But when working with clients, I'm able to just notice like shifts, like just subtle shifts, whether it's like in energy or, um, and I think the way that I hold space for others is also. I think that's like the Cancer that comes out, which is just very nurturing, very warm, and survivors just felt super comfortable with me. And I always, made sure, because I am also trained in, setting boundaries and trauma. So I had to set boundaries, but I always heard from my clients, like, gosh, just, exactly what to say, exactly what I need to hear. And like there's a client that I can specifically think of at this moment, where we were, having a conversation. I can tell there was something more, and she was having a hard time like spitting it out. And I kind of picked up on it, and I just said to her, you could share as much or as little as you want. I'm here to hold space for you. I'm here to support you. I'm not here to judge anything that you've experienced or that you've had to do to survive. I'm only here to help you like navigate. And with that conversation, she was like, "Oh my gosh, like this is exactly what I need to hear." And she said that was like what led her to get really started on her healing journey. Otherwise, she's like, "I'm surrounded, or we're living in a society where victim blaming just happens." And judgment, shame, guilt, like all of that, just kind of comes with, I don't know, just the sexual assault, I guess. So uh, her just hearing that from me, but I think it was like that moment where I was like, there's something there. I don't know what it is. It's resistance, and I just opened up the space for it, and that was, like, I guess for her, kind of like life changing. And then I just started trusting myself. Like, okay, whenever I notice something, like just call it out in a gentle way, in a supportive way, and started doing that more and more. And I can just see the shift in clients where they were like, oh, okay, oh, thank you. I am in a safe space.
Yeah. I love that. I definitely agree. It's the triple water. It's the, going deep, being able to have the capacity to hold space for others. That just makes you so perfectly built for that type of work. We talked a little bit about this last week, and then I feel like we touched on this concept in Uncharted in the course that we worked on together. And, we talked about in astrology that basically, like, your soul contract is basically your birth chart. And sometimes there are indications for people, not for everyone, that sexual assault of some form can show up in a chart. And it's not true for everyone. And, there's this discussion between fate and free will. But have you ever struggled with the idea of like, fuck, like, did someone sign up for this? Or like, was this just something that happened unfortunately to them? Like, is this divinely not orchestrated, but was this something that this soul agreed to do in this lifetime? Because I personally feel like I would struggle with something like that. And one of the reasons that I think this conversation is so valuable is that, many people, they just sell you the light in this space. They don't sell you the dark side of it. And unfortunately, there is light and dark to everything, especially in spirituality, because I think everything's spiritual. And so I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, totally. I absolutely did. And I, still have a hard time with that idea of it. We have a contract. Did someone sign up to experience or learn something through abuse, through violence? I don't know. Like, I don't accept that. It's like, um, so I have struggled with that. And I think it's, in the sexual assault field specifically, and what I've seen is there's a lot of resilience in the field. So and something that I've learned, and a model that we use at the agency is like the empowerment model. So no, you're not responsible for what happened to you, but you are responsible for how you, get on. I essentially get on with your healing journey, how you handle what you do with your wounds. Um, so in that sense, I think someone signed up to come into Earth and experience sexual violence? Not necessarily. I have a really hard time with that. Like I think
Totally.
it's just everything that I've heard, everything that I've experienced, what we are seeing, with the Epstein files, what's coming out, what's being leaked to us. It's like, geez, did these souls really sign up to experience that?
Yeah. It makes you wonder, right? It's like
Right.
I agree. It's like, it's hard to accept. And it's also, it makes you wonder if I feel like once you go down this path, no matter what area of spirituality you fall into, like what your modality is, what your, flavor of work is, you thinking alternative thoughts and having alternative perspectives, like we just discussed, is inevitable. And I think that's part of the consciousness expansion that humans are meant to experience so they can become closer to the divinity within themselves. And yeah, I think it's so important, the work that you're doing. And, more people just, I'm so grateful you're sharing your light, because it's so needed, especially in the area that you're working in. And I can imagine that some of the, topics get really heavy. How do you spiritually protect yourself in spaces and in amongst conversations that are pretty heavy, given the nature? And have you influenced your coworkers? Because I can imagine your coworkers picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, so before I picked up these tools, of, like, grounding and energetic protection, gosh, I was experiencing burnout. I was experiencing secondhand, trauma. It was pretty intense, and now I understand why. I'm like, geez, I was just, all of that was sticking to me. I wasn't clearing my energy. I wasn't practicing spiritual and energetic hygiene. I wasn't practicing that. So yeah, like now I'm like, damn, I wish I would have learned it earlier on, but at the same time, not, because it's part of my journey, right? It's part of my journey. Um, but now I come home. I actually will, right before I come home, or like in my car, I will do just like a cleanse. I will, imagine light coming over me, and just washing that off when I come home. I like triple, quadruple down on the cleansing. I will come home, do like the salt in like under running water. I will do some grounding. I need to put my feet in grass. Like, I need to do all of
All of
that.
it.
Yes, and then the Palo Santo and the selenite right before bed. Like,
Yeah, you're
cut
not
it all off.
messing. Yeah.
No, I'm not. Absolutely not. But yes, my coworkers have picked up on it, and I actually have a selenite wand over my what is it, like on the beam of the door. So when people come into my office, I'm like, come into my office, but don't bring your energetic heaviness and crap into my office. So they call it the energetic car wash. They're like, we're
I
gonna go
love
into the
that.
energetic car
Love
wash.
that. Yes.
Yeah, like when we go into Karla's office, we're going in through the energetic car wash.
Mm-hmm.
And I have like my Florida water spray. Some of my coworkers have asked for me to make them some of my sprays. I've done some like oils, anointing oils for them as well.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we're okay with like lighting incense in the office, when before it was a big no-no. So
I feel like you need an Etsy shop of some sort, because you've also mentioned to me directly that you like to do
yeah,
like a specific playlist when you're putting your makeup on and it's a ritual and you're like
yes,
blessing your makeup. And I was like, that's so
yeah.
smart.
Beauty runes on every single one of my makeup items. All of it.
Mm-hmm.
Glamour magic.
Yes.
I do. Yeah, I do all of that. And yes, like my coworkers have picked it up. My ED will also like, just like, hey, so tell me more about this. And I have her wearing a little ojo brooch on
Yeah.
her coat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she's actually a March 15th baby as well, like me. So I'm like, girl, you and I, come on, you've got to up it on the hygiene, the spiritual hygiene there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then my family as well.
You
Now,
know, whether or not
yeah.
they're aware of it, the influence is happening. And also, friends and family and audience members, don't forget to wish Karla a happy upcoming birthday. Her birthday is the 15th. She's a Pisces queen. But yeah, no, seriously, the Etsy shop, I feel like you would do so well on that. And I've seen the makeup that you wear and how you do it. I'm like, gorgeous. Where's your Venus? Do you
Thank you.
remember? You're welcome.
Oh, gosh, I don't know why I want to. I don't know. No, it's not an Aquarius. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
I feel like I should remember this. I've seen your chart many times, and I focus in on the water because I'm like attracts like. But yeah, I'm like I bet you her Venus placement is auspiciously placed in a beautiful spot. So yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. I The other question I have, and maybe it's similar to the previous one I asked, but how has your spirituality, aside from the protection and just the heaviness that you're dealing with, how does it help you to make sense of, I guess, maybe the darkness? You also mentioned, the Epstein files, and I think what's coming out is absolutely horrific. But I feel like it's almost, for me, and I would love to hear your experience, it's almost like you build a toolbox to better show up for yourself when the times get tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. You know, with the whole Epstein files thing coming out, I will say, and I guess I'm gonna like provide a little psychoeducation right now, but um, with the Epstein files coming out, it's man, it's difficult, difficult shit, to know that's happening. So holding space for that uncomfortableness, the rage that, I also feel like, oh, I can't believe that's happening. And like, I want to do something. And also, I want to bring light to the fact that everything that's happening with the Epstein files, so it's trafficking, it's sex trafficking, essentially, of minors. Um, it actually perfectly fits what we as a society view trafficking as, right? People are being taken, in this case, children are being, let's call it what it is, children are being taken from, wherever they live, they're being transported, and in this case, to an island. They're being isolated, they're being exploited, um, and they're, experiencing all this violence. And yes, sex trafficking obviously looks like that. It's happening. Now, reality, and not that that's not real because it is, but most commonly, I guess I should say, what we tend to see trafficking looking like is grooming. There's a lot of grooming. There's a lot of coercion, threats. Um, but working with survivors of human sex trafficking, we have found, or I have found, that a lot of them don't even identify as sexual assault survivors or as being trafficked, as being exploited, because in their mind, they're doing something for someone. They're oftentimes it's their boyfriend, um, or whoever's taking care of them. So what we do see as well is survivors are going about day-to-day life, then at night or come the weekend, they're being exploited, they're running away, and come Monday, they're back at school, and they're in school all week, and then again, come Friday night, they're running away, and they're being trafficked, they're being exploited. That's what we tend to see most commonly. We actually haven't, at least here in the Central Coast, don't see these children being transported from one location to another, which is what I think that the world has an idea of what trafficking looks like and what media is painting. a picture of what trafficking looks like. What, there's a movie that came out not that long ago about trafficking overseas, and yes, a lot of that is true, and trafficking does happen that way, but it's not the most common form of trafficking that we see. So I do just want to acknowledge that because I think it's important too.
Yeah, I read something along the lines of like, America's going through some shit. It's going through its Pluto return right now.
Oh,
Usually countries
shit, yeah.
Usually countries that go through that, they don't come back from it. It's just a total rebuild. So I can't not see that happening, and I don't think the US is coming back from this, you guys, to be perfectly honest. And I'm personally, because unless it's not clear, I know I've had some feedback about this. I am disgusted by what is going on right now, in case you weren't aware. So just need to
Yeah.
make that perfectly clear. But it was something to the effect, Karla, of like, America's original sin is, well, it's racism, but one of the oldest forms of making money. And it was something like this. It wasn't verbatim. It was like, it's basically like slavery. And our modern day version of slavery is sex trafficking. And I was just like,
Yeah.
oh my God. And it doesn't look one way, like you said. And the media really portrays it to be one way, and I feel like it's almost like its own way of like indoctrination too. And just to bridge it back and marry it with what we're talking about, I wonder, like, if people, especially in your area of work, those who work for the county doing or providing any kind of therapy services, if they had spirituality incorporated into the area of work, I almost just feel like you guys, not just you, but like the area of work, the practice, the scope would be better suited for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I'm trained in trauma, right? I know how to respond to this. This is the field that I'm in. So I think really it's about like balance, compassion, being compassionate, and it doesn't mean like pretending that or minimizing harm or pretending that everything happens for a reason. Because when we're talking about like spiritual bypassing, like no, that's not. It's just like recognizing, I guess, humanity without excusing the behavior, and then placing accountability where it needs to be held, which we're obviously not doing a great job at all in the United States. Our sister, yeah, I mean, I'm just at a point right now. I'm like about to crash out. Like all of our systems are messed up. Our legal system's messed up. Our government is corrupt. My goodness. But gosh.
Yeah.
And I think for me, like spirituality actually just like deepens my respect for like reality. It doesn't soften the seriousness of trauma or violence. Like, yeah, it just doesn't.
Yeah, I love that. It does make you more respectful of a lot more things, that's for sure. So I guess because you are in such a high stake environment, and you mentioned your training, and I love that. And I love that I mean, like you said, balance, it's one of the universal laws. How do you, I guess, incorporate your spirituality and discern, and while you're discerning between trauma responses, instincts, or just intuitive knowing in the environment you're in?
Like for me personally, I mean, trauma responses when, and we're talking about like how I discern between like something that's like a trauma response in me, right?
Yeah, especially being so psychic and being a triple water sign. I feel like it all kind of comes in and your intuition's guiding you in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Um, I know I'm thinking about like almost like my journey where I guess at some point it was like a blur. It was just all blurred together. Um, but for me, I guess trauma response feels like urgent, reactive. Like I could just feel it in my body. And you go into like the fight, flight, freeze, fawn reactions. Whereas into my intuition, it's just, and So it's so funny because whenever I would hear people talk about their intuition and they're like, it's just like calm, neutral, I was always like, okay. But as I've been, like I've been in touch with it and really like attuning to it, I'm like, oh, it is. It
Mm-hmm.
really is just calm, neutral. It just is. And I guess instinct is just a little bit more like immediate driven.
Yeah.
Um, and the discernment, I think discernment was something that I had to learn with, grounding and regulating and all of that.
Yeah.
But it comes from like self-awareness and like regulation. And um, if I'm regulated, I'm able to discern like, okay, am I experiencing, is this mine? Is it trauma that's, that I'm feeling in my body because it's touching on one of my wounds? Or is it not my energy? Am I picking up somebody's energy and I'm just feeling it in my body?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I'm dysregulated, everything is just like loud and chaotic. But when I'm
Yeah.
able to stay grounded and centered, I'm able to discern a little bit better about like, okay, it's mine, it's not mine. Um, is it's, it takes me a little bit to just like, all right, mine, yes, no, okay, what is it? And then is it something like, is it my trauma? Am I picking up somebody else's trauma? Is it lineage? And just kind of, going through those questions for myself. Um, yeah, but instinctual feels different. Trauma, it feels different. And then those responses where it's like my body versus it just feels, it's just like a knowing versus like a body driven. I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's almost like there's a difference between like the reaction being almost like protective versus like informative.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I was
Yeah.
getting. I was like, that makes, I guess that's how I interpreted it. But what I was also getting throughout our conversation, and one of the questions I want to ask is, would you say that you feel more fulfilled? Not that you didn't enjoy your work before, but do you think you were more fulfilled doing the work that you're doing now since you've become more spiritual and tapped in with your intuition?
Yes, I've always felt fulfilled in my work. Now that I'm not directly working with clients, in the like more involved with the community, and also because of course our funding was cut thanks to our amazing president.
Yeah, not surprised.
That was totally sarcastic, by the way. Yeah, I've had working more so like on the admin, like managing grant in our a project that we're working on. But so I'm not working directly with clients anymore. However, um, the way that my intuition kind of like meshes with my work is still interesting because I mean, my intuition is just my intuition. I can be talking to a community partner and talking about like our work, and I can just feel like shifts there, and then I'll just kind of like suddenly tap into it, and then kind of like go from there. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, like I've never opened up to anyone about this, and I love the work that you do. Let's connect." So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I love that.
people call it charm, but I'm like, I'm into it.
I've been doing this for lifetimes, okay?
Right.
This is how I built up my charisma.
Right, right.
Yeah. So, final thoughts, and I would love to hear any, wishes where you'd like to see your field go, if you'd like to see spirituality be incorporated into it more. Maybe, I don't know if it necessarily will be labeled as spirituality, but what do you hope to see in terms of change in the field that you're in for the better? And how do you see spirituality, if at all, being integrated into that?
Yeah. I know the field is again super resilient. Survivors are super resilient, super brave, and yeah, just honestly, like my heart goes out to survivors that have experienced any form of abuse or just violence against. I mean, I was going to say violence against women, but really it's violence against everyone because sexual violence does not discriminate, unfortunately. But it with like Epstein and all of that crap coming out, I really hope that our society moves towards a place where we do have more compassion and more understanding, more awareness, and we just believe survivors instead of victim blaming and what we are, I guess, conditioned and programmed to do, or what we have been. So I really hope to see those like culture shifts, societal shifts, and I do hope that one day we will live in a place free of violence and free of harm. And spirituality, I do think, will be a big part of that. I also really getting super interested, and I've been studying a little bit about moving energy through, the body. We do a lot of traditional talk like therapy when we do crisis counseling and just long-term counseling, and we know that trauma is stored in our body, and energetically we can energetically move that out of our bodies, and I do see that working together. So I mean, I don't know if it's just because that's something that I'm interested in, and I have seen, I myself have done energetic work. You've done energetic healings on me, where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, Gabby, I don't know what you did from way over there, but geez, I feel so much better. So it's insane. But so yeah, just moving energy and trauma out of the bodies. I think it's something that we need to incorporate, and I hope to see that in the future as well.
I love that response because I feel like the support that you provide is immediate and it's taking care of what's going on. And there's a lot of mental support, but then the physical support, because there's this book called The Body Keeps Score. It's like, then you're dealing and supporting with the aftermath, the after effects, and that's so needed. And like body work, somatic work, moving the energy is spiritual in nature. So I love that, and I hope that eventually the area of work catches up to that.
Yeah. If not, remember, I'm running so people can walk.
That's right. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, she's a triple water sign, okay? We are unstoppable.
Don't forget. Yes, we are. Well, with being a manifester, I will work hard, but I need to rest hard. So.
Yes, but the productivity that you have in the time you're working, unmatched.
Unmatched.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing your light, your wisdom, your passion, and just being in service to, the people that need your light. And I just can't wait for more people to experience you and your support and just your wisdom, because I do see you speaking in the future, and it makes sense as a manifester. And thank you for coming on today. Would you be so kind as to do our card pool?
Yes. I have a deck here.
Yay!
And thank you so much for,
of course,
for having me and for your support. Just for your support in my journey, because man,
like attraction.
Right, I know. Yeah. And I don't think we shared this, but I was connected to you through Nancy, a friend of mine who worked on both of us, fire cupping. And she would always humming the waters.
Spirit's got jokes. What? Okay.
Peaceful self-regulation. How funny.
Nervous system work, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, that's
okay.
So
but
funny.
I was saying, Nancy was like, yeah, like, Karla, you need to you need to connect with Gabby. Like, Gabby's so awesome. Like, man, she's so good at her work. And I remember being like, okay, yeah, I will. And then I was like, I don't know. So then I started listening to the podcast and I was like, okay, fine. I'll book with Gabby. And then I did. And I was like, best thing I've done ever. Okay, let me read this. Calming waters, peaceful self-regulation. This high priestess of light brings her, and then just I pulled from the Priestess of Light oracle.
Pretty.
Yeah, I love this. High priestess of light brings her deeper powers of healing energy to the earth and to your life. The elk antlers she wears on her golden crown act as antenna. They receive guidance and power from universal light, which she then channels into the earth and waters below. Her peaceful intentions are of balance and alignment. As she brings peace to the planet, she also calls you to calm the waters within your own life. Affirmation is, I have the infinite source of peace and calm within me. I direct my life with balance each day.
You know what I think is so cool, not just like, you know, all the watery topics, the somatic energy, us being triple water sign. For those watching on YouTube, the card that she pulled up, you guys, literally the outfit that Lana Del Rey wore to the Met Gala last year.
Oh my gosh.
Lana, I will be tagging you in this.
Lana, get in touch with us, girl. We can be besties.
No kidding. Oh my gosh. We're manifesting we run into you somewhere in Ventura County, okay?
Yeah. We will. Yes,
thank you. Thank you so much, Karla. I can't wait to connect with you soon, and your family's awesome, and Nancy as well, how we mutually were connected, and yeah, I'm just grateful. Do you want to do the bye with us?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, I'll count us down. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Bye.
Bye.